He has done anything wrong. But I'm just telling you, the American people can worry about something else. Her moral compass is as strong as anybody's in this country, and they will see that.
The president also shot back at those who are drawing comparisons to Watergate. The White House says this involves screw-ups, not cover-ups. Well, is it fair to compare Whitewater with Watergate? That's one of the issues Nightline looks at coming up right after this newscast.
She has filed another lawsuit. Tonya Harding's attorneys are trying to block a special hearing scheduled to begin on Thursday. The U.S. Figure Skating Association disciplinary hearing will be held in Colorado, but today's lawsuit claims Harding doesn't have enough time to prepare her case. Harding is practicing for the World Championships to be held in Japan in 2 weeks. A ruling against Harding would forbid her from going to that competition. Well, tomorrow a federal judge will rule on the lawsuit and Harding's request to stop the hearing. Jurors expect to reach a verdict sometime tomorrow in the trial of former KATU
Association President Vicky Barrow says it's the students who will feel the cuts the most.
Everything that affects us affects our students, and we cannot provide for them unless we have the resources to do it.
And that is the focus of this budget battle. Teachers say cutting their jobs will hurt students' education much, much more. They will have about 2 more of these meetings, Larry, on Tuesday and Wednesday night of this week, one at Franklin High on Tuesday and Lincoln High on Wednesday night.
Obviously, the teachers aren't proposing any cuts in their ranks. Are they proposing any cuts at all?
They have put some things on the table, about $16 million worth of proposals, basically from an administrative standpoint. Obviously, we've seen those in the past. The budget and the board have to make those final decisions. That's on March 17th. It's going
to be a tough process.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Steve. Tonya Harding's skating future moves to a federal courtroom in Portland tomorrow. Today, Harding's attorneys filed a motion to block the U.S. Figure Skating Association hearing. It is scheduled for Thursday. Judge Owen Panner will hear that motion in federal court tomorrow at 2 p.m. Harding wants to block Thursday's hearing in Colorado Springs because the Figure Skating Association plans to decide whether she violated the code of conduct for lying to the FBI regarding the Nancy Kerrigan attack. If the association decides she did, it could strip Harding of her membership, and she couldn't skate competitively. The World Championships are in Japan later this month. Harding attorney Robert Weaver today argued that the hearing would decrease the chances for a fair criminal trial in Oregon if one takes place. He also said there's no time and it's impossible for Harding to prepare and present an adequate defense. Beaverton police received half a dozen telephone tips over the weekend about last week's attack on Harding. Someone assaulted the skater just outside the apartment complex where she's staying. Harding sprained her wrist and had cuts and bruises from that attack. Police won't comment on any new information. They'll only say the attack was intentional and not random. Friends and family remembered Roger Penn today. He's the Portland cabbie brutally murdered last week. Several hundred cabs from all over the city formed a funeral procession through southeast Portland. Penn died last week at the wheel of his cab. He was murdered in an apparent armed robbery. No one's been arrested for Penn's murder. The jury will begin deliberations anew tomorrow morning in the trial of former Clatsop County District Attorney.
A U.S. Supreme Court ruling isn't a hit with much of the music industry tonight. The ruling centered on the classic Roy Orbison rock hit Pretty Woman and a parody done on the song by the rap group 2 Live Crew. Now, this is the song most people recognize, the original. Now, this is the song done by 2 Live Crew. This is how it sounds.
Big hairy woman, you need to shake that stuff. Big hairy woman, you know I bet it's tough.
The court ruled today the 2 Live Crew version is a parody that falls within fair use rules of federal copyright laws. That means 2 Live Crew and others can do takeoffs without getting permission and without paying royalties. The court ruled parodies can provide social benefit. In another case, Supreme Court justices refused to hear the appeal of boxer Mike Tyson's rape conviction. Tyson's lawyers argued the former heavyweight champ was denied a fair trial because prosecutors handpicked the judge who used to prosecute sex crimes. A second Tyson appeal is still making its way through the lower courts.
California criminals will have something new to think about tonight. California Governor Pete Wilson today signed that state's version of the 3 strikes and you're outlaw. Anyone convicted of their 3rd violent felony would get a minimum 25 years in prison. They could even get life. The new law, which took effect immediately, also doubles the minimum sentence for those convicted of their 2nd violent felony. What appears 2 strikes are enough to scare off criminals in Washington state. Voters approved a 3 strikes and you're out law last November, you may recall, but according to police, many felons aren't sticking around to take any chances. In one case, 17 registered sex offenders from the Seattle area left after their 2nd strike.
Hundreds of Portland cab drivers shut down their service for several hours today to pay tribute to one of their own. Drivers joined a 225-car procession for murdered cab driver Roger Penn. Penn was...
They possibly can.
Stein says many of the offenders were arrested for incest, but according to the department's own report, almost 2/3 of the offenders sentenced for rape, sodomy, felony sexual abuse, or incest were convicted of crimes against a victim under the age of 12. The head of the neighborhood association is angry.
Wesley Allen Dodd was also under supervision when he committed his acts. The only way we found out is because the parole officers working here were concerned about it, and a couple of them called me.
The study found keeping probation the way it is, decentralized, avoids concentration of sex offenders reporting within one neighborhood. But Stein decided the positives outweighed the negatives.
This is an administrative decision. We did not believe that there was any danger to the community, or we wouldn't have done it. We are just moving staff around. We don't normally go out for public comment when we move staff from one office to another.
The Sex Offenders Committee started its research in 1991. The decision to consolidate was made this January. So residents want to know, why has it taken until now for them to find out about it? In Southeast Portland, Elisa Kaiser, NewsCenter 6.
They don't call it a hearing, but an informational meeting on consolidating sex offender programs takes place this Thursday night at the Child Services Center on 14th and Stark. Public comment is welcome from 7 to 9 p.m.
Tonight marked the beginning of Pal Week in Old Town. 5 businesses and 6 restaurants, including Opus 2 and Jazz Day Opus, donate a percentage of their proceeds to the Police Activities League and Hispanic Access Center.
It's part of a community thing to support the local neighborhood, and so we wanted to, be part of help them out.
The 2-year-old program targets Hispanic youth outreach in neighborhoods all over Portland. Diners to participating restaurants can drop their business cards in a fishbowl for a shot at door prizes from a number of Old Town merchants until Friday night.
Eating for a good cause.
Right.
Coming up, Gresham police hope nationwide TV exposure will catch a killer.
Also tonight, Old Blue Eyes is back home, resting after a scare on stage last night.
Of all the fine German...
Continue their street battles with security forces in the occupied West Bank. Israeli soldiers killed 2 Palestinians during clashes in Hebron today. The deaths occurred in the same town where 30 Palestinians were massacred in a mosque just 11 days ago. The fatalities are the first since Friday, bringing the death toll in the wake of the mosque killings to 29. Radical Palestinian groups are calling for revenge for the mosque massacre and an end to the peace negotiations. It's already Tuesday in South Africa, where a commuter train has derailed. Details are just coming in, but a radio station reports that at least 46 people are dead, 200 injured. The derailment occurred near Durban. Another big step for women in the military. For the first time, Navy women have gotten their orders to serve permanently on U.S. warships. Some 500 women will be a permanent part of the Eisenhower crew when she deploys this fall. With the addition comes a strict code of conduct. Men and women will work together, but they will not sleep together. Boxer Mike Tyson has suffered
7207, or sign up at the Yard Garden and Patio Show, March 11th through 13th at the Convention Center. Then watch AM Northwest on Monday, March 14th, when we draw the lucky winner.
Now, Jeff Gianola and Julie Emry as Channel 2 News continues.
Well, parents and students are letting others know they're fed up with gang violence in Hillsborough.
They formed a group called The Movement and held a demonstration today to show their frustration. They want kids to learn at school instead of having to worry about their safety. They organized a couple of weeks ago after a pair of Pointer Middle School students were stabbed at a home by suspected gang members. School officials say they understand the concerns but think kids are safe at local schools.
Well, it could be a first. A school production of Peter Pan has been canceled. School officials in Southampton, New York, pulled the plug on the show after a group of Native Americans protested. The Shinnecock Indians say they objected to a song in the show. They also say words like squaw and redskin taken out of the script need to be taken out of the script because they're demeaning. Well, now school officials are considering staging The Wizard of Oz instead.
A Portland man is taking the bite out of his bone cancer pain with help from a shark. 66-year-old Bruce Allen of Portland says a year after being diagnosed, he's still alive because of these pills. Pills made out of shark cartilage.
The upshot of this whole thing was that I had so much cancer in my body. I asked Dr. Gale, I said, how much time do you think I have? He said, I can't say.
Allen's urologist says it's hard to believe shark cartilage has cured Allen's pain, but his internist says it has been helpful. He points to an improvement in certain cancer nodules on Allen's scan. Now, some medical experts say malignant tumors are rarely found in sharks, and they claim that shark cartilage then inhibits tumor growth. Others disagree with that. Now, one thing sharks are known for are attacks, and today one took place in a very unusual place. It didn't happen in the ocean, but at a restaurant called the Shark Club in Costa Mesa, California. Two sharks live in a giant tank there, but at 4 feet they outgrew their surroundings. And when the movers came, one of the sharks apparently didn't like leaving home, so he bit the arm of a worker. The man needed 100 stitches, but he's expected to recover.
Wow. Frank Sinatra is resting at home tonight after collapsing from heat exhaustion during a sold-out concert. Sinatra passed out in Richmond, Virginia last night while singing his trademark song, My Way. When he fell, he banged his head against a stage monitor and was unconscious for about 10 seconds. Sinatra underwent 3 hours of tests after being whisked off that stage. A publicity stunt is reaching new heights in San Antonio. Today, 4 men climbed the landmark Tower of the Americas to jump off it. Well, to be more accurate, they rappelled 750 feet down. What's unusual is that these weren't all stuntmen. A Texas State District judge was one of the 4. Carlton Spears will be back at it Saturday to promote a city youth recreation program. I guess you could say the judge is letting actions speak louder than words.
Oh, that looks scary. A beautiful day today. What can we expect? Doesn't that sound like Mr. Rogers? Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Yeah, what can we expect the rest of the week? Matt Zaffino has the answer. Matt's coming up next.
It was nice. And coming up later, the rabbit who won by a hair. This marathon runner caught everyone by surprise.
Virginia last night, Sinatra asked his son for a chair. While he went to get one, Sinatra fell face down. After undergoing 2 hours of tests, he flew home to California. Sinatra last week received a Grammy for his years of work in the recording industry.
Frank Sinatra is resting at his Palm Springs home tonight, where I guess it's raining.
It never rains in Southern California, does it? The sun shone over the northwest today, and when he returns, Jim Little will forecast tomorrow.
Western United States, and that is perfect conditions for this kind of activity. They don't usually see this kind of weather down that away. Nonetheless, the funnel cloud never hit the ground, thank goodness. Okay, here are the current readings. Here in Portland, clear skies, 44 degrees, the humidity at 49%. The air is calm, the barometer 30.26, it is falling. High temperature reading today, a pleasant 60 degrees, the overnight low 31, and in the rain bucket, well, nothing. And the freezing level at 8,800 feet. Here is the satellite loop from outer space, and you can see basically clear conditions for the most part in the northwest. A few high clouds drifted on through as the day wore on, but a ridge of high pressure at the surface and aloft is holding us dry. And you can see this big storm system out in the Pacific Ocean is going to eventually erode this high pressure area and allow some moisture to move on in towards midweek. You can see a broad area of high pressure aloft, keeping us high and dry, but this trough in the Pacific will start to erode this and push it towards the east, and that means we'll get into a westerly flow by midweek and beyond, and that means some wet weather is on the way for us. The close-up satellite photograph shows a warm front passing well to the northwest of us, basically clear conditions or fair conditions throughout the state. A few more clouds right along the eastern border and in the southwest, but basically a very, very nice night. Temperatures 45 down in Salem right now. Klamath Falls at 38, 30 in Burns, 32 in Baker City, Pendleton at 31 degrees, the Dow's 35, and a cool 39 degrees in Astoria at this hour. Around the country, some thunderstorms rumbling through Oklahoma and Texas. They had thunderstorm watches and warnings up throughout central and north central Texas most of the evening. A few more thunderstorms right around the central Appalachian Mountains. Thunderstorms right around the central Appalachian Mountains, but you can see some rain along that front with snow confined to snow flurries in southeastern South Dakota and western Minnesota tonight. High temperature readings around the country, 27 for Bismarck. Dallas had 79, Atlanta 78, 50 in New York City. Phoenix 59 degrees today for a high temperature reading, 67 degrees in Los Angeles. San Francisco topped it out at 72, Boise 53. Great Falls had 37 degrees. Now look at some great forecasts statewide. First stop, the coast. Look for fair and cool conditions along the coastline for tonight with a sunny day on the way for Tuesday. Highs tomorrow, 58 to 63 degrees. There is a small craft advisory up along the coast south of Cascade Head. Look for east-northeast winds at 10 to 25 knots. In the eastern part of the state, fair tonight, sunny tomorrow. Lows overnight tonight, though rather cool, 15 to 25. Highs tomorrow in the 50s. In the Cascades, sunny with past temperatures of 45 to 50 degrees. The freezing level way up at 10,000 feet. In the Gorge, fair and cool tonight. Sunny skies for Tuesday. In the Valley, again, fair and cool tonight. Sunny on Tuesday. High 60 to 65. Here in the Portland-Vancouver metropolitan area, fair and cool tonight, sunny on Tuesday, low 31 tonight, and with an east wind at 5 to 20 miles per hour tomorrow, expect a high of 62 degrees. On Wednesday, increasing clouds and a chance of rain developing late in the day, 56 degrees. That rain should taper off to showers on Thursday, 54. The clouds are back late Friday with a chance of rain for the beginning of the weekend, 55 degrees, and right now, Saturday, looks like a rainy affair, Larry. 55 degrees.
But the sun will still be peeking through.
Oh, on occasion. Yeah, but it looks like
bad.
Spring's trying to kick in.
Yeah, it is. Well,
yeah.
Sure felt like the last couple of days.
Oh, boy, it's been beautiful.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
You bet.
Next, we will find out
Texas and Oklahoma today, and actually on up through the Tennessee Valley. Some rain farther north and some snow falling, up to a couple of inches of snow in Valentine, Nebraska. This area of snow will kind of slide on to the east. Here's the outlook for tomorrow. This is the cold front. Cool air behind it, and there'll be an area of snow all the way from the northeast back down into the central plains. Things drying out in California, giving folks a chance to clean up from the rain that they've had. Temperatures tomorrow will be warm in the southeast, and will be generally in the 50s and even some 60s back up here in the Pacific Northwest. We'll talk about that and have the complete forecast coming up right after this.
Singing the song My Way. He was checked out at the hospital and was released after 3 hours. Doctors say it was heat exhaustion. Sinatra is 78 years old. He has no more performances scheduled until the end of this month. You might soon be paying 32 or perhaps 33 cents to mail a first-class letter. The Postal Service Board of Governors is expected to propose an across-the-board rate increase tomorrow. Analysts say the hike may inspire big clients of the Postal Service to find a cheaper way of doing business. Credit card companies account for about 70% of the volume of first-class mail, and they'll be encouraged to find an alternative like electronic billing and payment.
40% of the market share in first class has now gone south. It may go south a lot faster unless the Postal Service does something to stop the bleeding. And that is to look ahead in a strategic fashion.
Some analysts say the best thing the Postal Service could do is to increase the quality of service, not increase the cost of mail. Still ahead, we'll hear what happened to a man who was trapped in his car for 2 days by a blizzard. But first, the experts tell us if your dog can really stop a burglar. The answer may surprise you.
Ready?
Come take a look.
Electronic alarm systems can reduce your risk of being a victim of robbery or assault in your home. But many of you probably already own an alarm system, the kind with teeth. Here's reporter Brendan McLaughlin.
Ask any dog owner what they value most in man's best friend. Chances are they'll talk about loyalty, companionship, and protection.
I find people give me a real wide berth when I take my dogs for a walk.
Frisco, a 185-pound Great Dane, also has a way of discouraging company.
You probably have a lot of prowlers coming into your house a lot, huh?
Nobody messes around our place, yeah.
Most people don't train the family pet to be a watchdog, but then again, they don't have to. Whether it's a Rottweiler or a poodle, barking at the mailman just comes naturally. I didn't teach Oliver to bark at strangers. He just does it. But does all that noise make me any safer? We went to Pierce County's Juvenile Detention Center to find out. 2 17-year-old house burglars agreed to talk to us about how they decide on a victim.
What if there is a dog in the house making a lot of noise? Then get the hell out of there. Go somewhere else?
Yeah. But the other teen told us he would consider killing a dog for the right prize.
If there's something really valuable in the house, I'm not going to let a dog stop me from getting it.
What will you do?
What I have to do.
This is Frosty, and this is Sheena.
Ginger Adams has 2 German Shepherds that were protective to a fault.
Fellow walked up the road, and one of my dogs bit him, and I was like, I think it's time to do something. Heel.
Adams decided to take both her dogs in for training at the Canyon Crest Obedience School in Puyallup.
Okay, forward.
Ron Pace specializes in controlling aggressive behavior.
Ready?
The dogs will attack on command as before, but now Adams can get them to stop with a single word.
Out.
Watch. Watch. And even though I jump at her, you know, she's got to ignore that. It's really easy to get a dog that's protective to turn on, but being able to balance that out and be able to turn them off, I think, is extremely important.
It's also important to remember that a dog should be a pet first and a sentry second. A neglected dog will always be more of a liability than an asset. Some might be better off with this electronic breed that doesn't slobber, shed, or track mud.
That eats cat food, that uses a cat litter box, that plays with their toys, you know, and steals their Barbies, and does all those kind of things that our little animals do.
Fans of the furry weasel-like ferrets insist they make great family pets.
Something that bees make could help humans who bump into each other. John and Bill Rich have invented a honeycomb-type material they say helps cushion cars at impact. They say their bumpers bounce back better.
If every other one had this, they could all shake hands and say, let's go back and try it next week, and nobody would be hurt.
The Riches say their designs will fit 80% of the cars on the highway, as some taxi cabs, I guess, already use them.
Maybe they're cheaper, too. Good night.